What's going on, people? It is Irish Gunner HD here, you can call me Irish, and today I thought I would talk about the GTX 970 memory VRAM issues that have been going on over the last couple of weeks. So if you didn't know, basically the GTX 970 from Nvidia has been kind of in the news a lot in the last month or so, because basically Nvidia marketed it, and the partners like EVGA and MSI and my own personal one, which is from Asus, and like all the other ones, basically they were all marketing the 970 as a 4 GB card. So it's a graphics card with 4 GB of VRAM, which is really good. Basically, what happened was people started reporting stuttering and frame drops and just random bad performance from their 970s. As well as some other things, there was some coil whine reports and stuff like that, and people got like ORMAs and stuff like that for the coil whine and whatever. But that's not just specific. The coil whine isn't really specific to the 970, it's also on the 980, so it just seems to be a 900 series problem. I haven't heard about it too much on the 960, which came out recently, so I don't know if it's a 960 issue as well, but definitely the 970 and the 980. But yeah, so basically the card wasn't flawless on launch. It was really well reviewed and really well kind of held in high regard. Basically, the 970 and the 980 were both held in high regard. Then this all came out. So basically, what the deal is basically there is like one module. I think it's called like L2 or something like that. It's basically one module. It's 500 megabytes, so half a gig of RAM, basically, that games can access. That, while it is 500 megabytes of RAM, it operates at a much slower speed. I think I heard it being reported as like a seventh of the speed of what the rest of the modules are at. So it is this really cut down version of the RAM that's inside the card. So basically, at the end of the day, what you come away with is a 3.5 gigabyte card of full speed, like VRAM or whatever, and then you've got this little 0.5 of a gigabyte section that's really slow. And again, as I said, people were reporting stutters and frame drops and all kind of weird performance with their card. Now, I've spent the night kind of watching video reviews from Linus Tech Tips and Jay's 2 Cents and other kind of people like that, like watching different things and seeing different things, and combined with my own opinion from obviously owning one. I've got, as I said, an Asus Strix 970. I personally have never noticed a real problem. I play Shadow of Mordor, which I think, sorry, I never mentioned at the start, I think the gameplay will be some Shadow of Mordor, just kind of killing orcs and whatever. I might just record some of that to go behind this commentary. I'm doing the commentary before I've got the gameplay, so I think it'll be Shadow of Mordor. But yeah, so basically I've been playing Shadow of Mordor with the HD texture pack on like ultra settings and like fully maxed out, and I'm trying to think, it's not 100%, but it's like 98-99% being absolutely flawless. Very occasionally it gets maybe one or two little stutters, and that's about it. Like, but I think that's just like a thing from playing such a highly demanding game on such highly demanding settings, basically. Like, I'm trying to think. Jay's 2 Cents did a thing where he used, I think it was Afterburner or whatever, and he looked at it and he went into it and he seen, and Linus did the same, where they seen that the kind of the usage and the GPU usage and all that kind of stuff was fine. It was in and around 3.5 like 3.5 gigabytes of VRAM usage on Shadow of Mordor, completely maxed out, which seems to be like one of the higher, more demanding intensive kind of games that are out there at the minute. So basically, from my experience, from these results, it's not affecting anything. Yeah, it's kind of like, so like the issue, I don't think is it actually affecting anything. The issue is a little bit is where we lied to. Like, where we lied to, where, like, should they have said, like, because I've personally never heard, like, I've only been involved in computer builds and graphics cards and technology and stuff like that, to that extent, for about 2.5 years now, so I'm not that old school with it, but I've never heard of a 3.5 gig card, or a 1.5 gig card, or 2.5, I've never heard of that. So I don't know if, like, maybe they just said, well, this isn't a thing that happens, we don't announce, like, cards in the 0.5 of the VRAM, like, allocation or whatever like that. Like, maybe that's it. Maybe they didn't want to say it was a 3 gig card, because it is technically a 4 gig card. Maybe they just didn't want to say it was a 3 gig card, because it is actually a 4 gig card, and they didn't want to say it was a 3.5 gig card. But we've heard all the different excuses. We've heard like it was a kind of a miscommunication between the engineers and the marketing department. We've heard all sorts of things, but basically it comes down to that this last 0.5 gig is slower than the other 3.5. But yeah, so I wanted to just continue on about my own experiences, just to say every card is different. I think everyone knows that every card is kind of, especially when it's look at whatever the word is, not aftermarket, but like if it's an EGA card or an MSI or an ASUS or whatever. As far as I know, like all these kind of board partner cards have relatively different results, basically. So like no two cards are the same. By slight amounts, in fairness, but like by and large, no two cards are the same. So from my personal experience, first of all, the coil whine that I've heard about. Basically, the only time I've heard coil whine from my card is in the menus for Crysis 2 when the vertical sync was off, and like we're getting into like the literal thousands of FPS because it's like just so easy to run. It just keeps going. Yes, then I've definitely heard the coil whine, and it is really loud and it's really annoying. So I really do feel for people that have actually had to deal with that, because it's really unpleasant. If you've never experienced coil whine, it's not fun. It is a really loud, high-pitched whine that overrides any kind of low hums or any fan noise from your PC. It's not fun whatsoever. So I do feel for people that got like kind of bum cards, and I've seen on Reddit and stuff like that. I've talked to people personally that have gotten bum 970s and 980s. So I do feel for them. But from my personal experience, I didn't get one. I was very lucky. So that's coil whine. So as for game performance, I run Skyrim with the Real Vision ENB. So if you play Skyrim and you know the kind of the Nexus mod manager top 100 or top mods basically list on there, what I did was I went onto the Real Vision ENB mod page, and then I downloaded all the mods that he used to get his Skyrim to look like that, like the screenshots and the videos and stuff like that, and I installed them. I deleted all my old mods that were affecting the graphics, and I basically went and seen how it performed basically. And in very specific situations, it does like get stuttery, but not in like a, it's more like a kind of a micro stutter as it's like maybe loading into textures or something like that, because my Skyrim is installed on a HD, so or HDD or hard drive, however you want to pronounce it. So maybe it's just a texture loading thing, because again I've got like 2K Skyrim, I think it is one of the mods, 2K or 4K Skyrim, something like that, like really high definition texture pack. So maybe it's just like an issue with reading the textures, but yeah, like Skyrim completely maxed out in this game's standard settings, and then with all these kind of crazy ENBs and grass mods and larger trees and high resolution textures mods and stuff like that, I've not noticed any issues. That's just me personally, so I don't know. No stutters, none of the crazy stutters or any kind of major problems that people are reporting. So again, it's one of them things. What other games? Kind of Battlefield 4. I've tried it on Ultra. Like I wouldn't obviously play like every day on Ultra. I use a mixture of high and low settings to get a really good frame rate, like about 120 FPS. Even though I've only got a 60 FPS or a 60 Hertz monitor, so it doesn't really make a difference. But I try to get a nice balance of nice looking game and frames per second. So I use a mixture of settings. But excuse me. I thought for the hell of it I'd shoot it up to 100% scaling, so it's still only 1366 by 768, which is my monitor resolutions. So not even 1080p as far as I'm aware. So yeah, so it's not great, but yeah, so 100% scaling and all the graphics turn up like full, and it's still fine. It's not perfect. Again, it's like hovering around 60 as far as I remember, but it's still fine. What other like really intensive games? One of the things that I remember saying when I got the card at first was when I had my old 650 Ti, if I maxed out Far Cry 3, if I completely maxed that out, I would get like 30 to 40 at best. And then when I got the 970, I was getting like easily well over 60. Not like crazy high, but like well over 60 all the time. No stutters, no drops, nothing like that. And as most people know, the CryEngine, Crysis 2, Crysis 3, even Crysis 1, still to this day for a lot of systems is a good benchmark. Yeah, basically what I'm getting at is I've tried a load of games: Shadow of Mordor, Battlefield 4, Crysis. Apparently Metro, I do have it, but I haven't actually played it, so I couldn't give you the results on Metro. But basically what I'm saying is, from my personal experience, I've tried all these crazy out there massively intensive games, and I've not noticed any problems. I really haven't. It's definitely it's weird. It's definitely an amazing card. It's definitely something that I do not regret for 1 second buying, and I would not trade. Like, I wouldn't put it back. I wouldn't send it back to them. I wouldn't go back to the 650 Ti while it was off getting RMA'd or replaced or like that if I had the choice. But I can see where some, like, it's still a lot of money. Like, when it was released, and people bought it because it was really good value. It was a 4 gig card. It was like the 3rd top tier or something, or like of all the cards. There was like the 780 Ti, the 980, and like maybe 1 or 2 AMD cards up there in the top 5 kind of positions. But it was really, really high up there. And for the price, it was like, mine, I think, including shipping, was like €380 or roughly something like that. It was, I would say it's worth it. I can max out a game like Shadow of Mordor and experience that land, that world, that kind of amazing scenery and stuff like that in the ultra settings, in like the most perfect way that you can experience it, in like a flawless 60 FPS, no drops, no stutters, nothing like that. So basically what I'm saying is, if you have a 970 and it's working fine, yeah, maybe we should be a bit pissed off at Nvidia for maybe skewing the details or whatever like that, or not being completely legit from the start. But be happy with the card that you have. Don't go like freaking out. Basically, don't go like worrying about if you, oh god, is this card not performing as well. All the tests that I've seen that weren't just crazy going into like MS-DOS and stuff like that and fucking with it in ways that you wouldn't actually do in a realistic gaming scenario, all those tests that I've seen have resulted in the card still performing flawlessly. So it does put a sour, kind of a sour taste in your mouth that, yeah, okay, it's not actually 4 gigabytes. It is, but it isn't. It does put that kind of sour taste in your mouth. And for a lot of people, that's kind of enough for them to just be like, look, this isn't what I paid for. I don't appreciate being lied to. Fair enough. If that's you, do you. I don't judge whatever with that. That's your own decision. But I just don't think that the card that you got is... No, I do think that the card that you got is good enough where it shouldn't be an issue. So that's basically it. I love my 970. I really, really, really love it. Like, it's great. It's opened up a whole new world of possibilities in terms of kind of gameplay and graphics and stuff like that. So that's basically it. I haven't made a video in a while because, like, stupidly, I was like, I can't think of anything other than kind of little bits and pieces of Battlefield 4 or Battlefield Hardline news that I wanted that I could have talked about. But none of it was really interesting, and then it just dawned on me. I was like, wait, I have a 970. I can actually give some insight, some personal experience into this. So that's about it. If you enjoyed it, please do leave a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here. Thanks for watching.